that we never really had any good places we just had pubs for music in those days, and it was really difficult to get places to play or go and see anything, and everybody was quite jealous of the student scene because they had big acts and they didn't, I'm talking about the university, Cambridge University, and then but the big event was, I think we were away probably that weekend when Fakes happened, and I came back and there was this headlines in Fakes, and then we heard about the CVG. I think we were at the housing co-op then when we were living there, and they had a meeting just around the corner that the venue group did, and so we went. It was the second meeting, and I remember, and it just sparked our interest.
No, there'd been some talk before that, hadn't there? Because if you think back to Mecca, and everyone was complaining about not having a venue, and about the Cool Exchange being closed. So the CVG didn't exist.
No.
But there was a sort of the beginning of a movement going, this is really daft. Why can't we hire such and such to put on a gig?
So then they had this party in this disused Fakes, and then that's when the council came in and had this meeting, which I again didn't go to, this one where they met all the people who had been organising the party together, and I've got even a constitution here. You'll find a constitution for the CVG about how many members should be at a quorum meeting. Okay. So everything is in here.
And that, I guess that's because we were living in the co-op, and everything we were used to do. We'd started to behave in that way, hadn't we? Where you had to have meetings and you had things agreed as a sort of community, rather than someone just take the lead. So it was part of that culture.
Yes.
And even stuff, all the sort of fairs and everything. Again, it was pretty well organised because you had so many people doing a little bit that you had to have this sort of quite regulated process.
The first thing was that they had to do was the feasibility study, and all the members had to go around, walking around the streets, knocking on doors. A list of addresses had been given to us from the council, and then they thought, the council thought, my goodness, we've got to do something else now. And I think the councillors were thinking, what they're saying is good, could be good for the city. So the councillors were supportive. So the officers then said, in their reaction to it, they wrote, well, you're asking for too much. It's over budget. You can't afford all this, and loads of negatives, which we then rose to the challenge, and decided, okay, we'll set up a few committees, and
it was a very sort of paternalistic time then in the council, that they had all these agendas that we weren't supposed to know about. So nothing about the individuals, but that was just the time, that's the moment in history that the council was an authority. And so these people coming out of nowhere saying let's do it differently was really hard for the officers to take. And the councillors got themselves trapped really, because they began to be interested, and then they began to see that there was public interest, and if they were supposed to be representing the public, and if we literally were giving them feedback from 1 in 3 households, what else could they do but start to come on board?
We set up working groups within CVG, from membership, outside research, external service, campaign committee, finance, inside research, staffing committee, subcommittees within the CVG, and they were due to report back to the meetings in St Philip's School. All these
incredible.
Yeah, so it was really well organised, and I think the council officers thought, we'll just send them off to do this feasibility study, and then suddenly they realised that they had a big machine up against them, and then I think they realised, maybe we can get our mates some business out of this, and then that's when they realised that they supported it, the officers, council officers, and then of course we had to go through all the different hurdles, internal wrangling. So
the council officers came on board thinking, okay, maybe it's better for us to be in, but they really wanted to control it and to change what it was all about. even though we might have really in-depth knowledge of other venues that were working because we played or put on gigs or done
or
anything,
been to visit them, yeah.
or knew the people that were
Yeah.
running them. No, none of that counts.
Yeah.
Might be, whatever the
Yeah.
Hammersmith Odeon might be doing this, but no, that doesn't count. We're going to get our mate from O'Varrock to come
And we got
do
to
it.
limit the noise. That was the big factor, so as not to annoy the.
This energy and interest, most of it without any other agenda. What was difficult for us was managing those that did have lots of other
internal
agendas.
wranglings, yeah.
But most of it was without any agenda. And then eventually, once we got enough, we got Bob Satchwell from the Evening News on board.
I can't remember the name.
And and he was supportive, and he sort of helped us navigate some of the politics.
Yeah.
Um,
And then when the council decided they'd go for it, they appointed Eric Orme as the development officer.